Good morning, Inspire and Illuminators. It is me, Jennifer Engel, CEO and founder of Inspire and Illuminate, which is me working on planning a party for launching highest possibility states, as well as just doing these jaunts with Jen. Today, now normally my jaunts with Jen are maybe some deep metaphysical concepts that I try to bring down to earth, or some mental and emotional health tips. But today I want to talk about reflection and gratitude, an experience that I've had over the last 2 days. So for those of you who don't know me, I am a teacher, and technically Monday was supposed to be summer break. Yay! But about a month ago, I received a jury duty notice. Bum, bum, bum. Now, a lot of people told me to try to get out of it, or they told me stories of how they got out of it. But to be honest, I didn't want to get out of it because I was curious. I have not served on a jury or had jury duty for like over 20 years. When I first moved to California, way back in 1997, I got it like twice in 1 year. I never had it in Minnesota, and I don't ever remember having it in Illinois. So I was curious. So what you're going to notice is I'm going to post videos and pictures of the prison and the courthouse where I was, along with this jaunt with Jen. Now what I realized is, I'm not gonna lie, it was boring. All I did was show up for 2 days around 9 in the morning, literally sat there on day 1 till noon, or no, it was like 11. They said something happened in the courthouse, you're excused today, but you gotta come back tomorrow. It's like, okay, day 1 was just learning how to get there, because I've never explored Cicero or Little Mexico, which is right next to the Cook County Criminal Courthouse. So that was kind of interesting. It kind of felt like traveling back in time, if you really want me to be honest, or just going to a whole new world in some aspects. And then day 2, I kind of knew how to get there, still needed my GPS, but I was more comfortable with the drive. We sat there from 9 in the morning to about 11 doing nothing, but it did give me some time to get some work done for school year next year. Teachers are always planning, let me tell you. And then around 11, they said, this is how it works, here's kind of the case, here's your civil duties, are you willing to do this? Like, that went on for like almost an hour. It was really hard to hear. I wish the judge would have used the microphone. That's my tip to the judge, by the way. Because we were all spread out in this, it was almost like 2 rooms, to be honest, and he was going back and forth between the 2 sections of the big room, and then the vending machine turned on next to me and I couldn't hear anything he said. But so that's my tip to the judge. Use the microphone next time. But it was really interesting getting a refresher on what our rights are as Americans, how we do have freedoms here that other people and places just don't have. So for me, the experience was a reflection, and I was really grateful, even though there were long moments of boredom and I was getting kind of antsy, especially toward day 2 as it was getting toward 4 o'clock. And so like around, so from like 11 to noon, from 9 to 11, we sat into nothing. from 11 to noon, the judge kind of went over what our rights were, real generals about the case. And then from like noon to 1, we had a lunch break. And then from 1 to 4, and then like from 1 to 2, there was nothing again. And then at 2, so they had 4 different panels. And so they probably had about, 40 people or so in these 2 rooms. We were all spaced out wearing our masks. It was quiet as a library, let me tell you. Which I like. And then around 2, he called panel 1 and 4, and those 20 people went up, and they were brought into the courtroom, given some general, like more whatever. I wasn't there, so I don't know. And then I think they were interviewed a little bit one-on-one. And then they needed us to stay in case they couldn't find enough jurors for the jury. So from 2 to 4, sat again doing nothing. But here's what I want to say. During my lunch, I'm a walker, and I wasn't able to get my walk in that morning. I actually took some video, which you'll see as this audio is playing, about the prison, about the courthouse. And as I was out walking, enjoying the movement, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the weather, I was looking up and I saw these tiny little windows. And I was wondering, do prisoners look out that window and look at us? And what do they think? When I was imprisoned in that courtroom, looking out the window, I was wondering, do they count the cars? Do they watch the people? Do they look at the clouds? Do they even have access to that? These were questions I was asking myself on my walk and when I was looking out the window. In addition, I thought I was going to use my time well and do some research about what is life like in Cook County Prison, which was like maximum security. And it looks like they don't even have cells. When I looked at one of the articles, it was from 2007, so I'm not sure how accurate it is or is it now. I couldn't really find a lot of articles about it. But there was an overcrowding population. They're basically just put in a big room with a bunch of bunk beds. They did say that there were 2 things that they really fought in the prison, in general. One was just don't be a snitch. And yeah, there are fist fights and things, and that's how people blow off steam. Make friends with people, make friends with guards. That's what they said. The other thing, the main thing they also fought was boredom. So imagine I'm just stuck in the courthouse for a couple hours, just sitting in a chair. Now multiply that times whatever their prison sentence is. The other thing that they really fought was during COVID. There were tons of articles about how there was lack of appropriate hygiene and precautions within the prison system, and so it just really spread like wildfire throughout the prison. So that was the third thing that they experienced. Now, in addition, and some people might say, well, who cares about prisoners? They got what they deserve or whatever. But you know, one of the articles I think really did have a good point, that they're still human. And one of the things that I researched in the past when our schools would talk about Holocausts and genocide. Why? I'm the type of person who I have to keep drilling down until I get to the root of why people do things. And hurt people hurt other people. You know, there's a whole different prison system in like Finland, where they kind of understand this concept that hurt people hurt other people. So rather than punishing hurt people, which actually hurts them more, they actually work with the hurt that caused them to hurt the other people. And that makes sense to me. So they're still human. Now, it did seem like there were some programs within the Cook County criminal system, but obviously it needs to go a lot farther and make a lot more progress. They did have like drug addiction programs in there, but I still think there needs to be a long way to go with our prison system and how we treat prisoners. I honestly believe everything should happen at the root of the problem. Otherwise, you know what happens? So like, for example, when you cut a weed tree, so a weed tree will grow like a nice beautiful tree, right? But if I cut it and I butcher it and then mutilate it like I did because I didn't want it growing through the fence in my neighbor's yard, but I didn't have the strength or the equipment to pull it up at the roots, it just multiplied, which is like one of the stories from Hercules. He fights this like snake monster thing, and when he cuts off the head, 2 heads appear, and then when he cuts off one head, 3 heads appear, and it just kind of keeps multiplying. Also, as a special education teacher, and from reflections about students who used to be special education students, if you put students who have behavior issues with other behavior issue students, guess what? The behaviors multiply and magnify. And if it's been found that if you put someone who has behavior issues around 10 people who don't, that's when the behavior starts to cease. Because now he has 10 or she models around him of how to monitor your own thoughts and behavior. So I really believe we need to deal with things at the root. Now, Jenny's soapbox aside, I said this was a reflection also. For those of you who don't know, I have befriended someone from Nigeria who actually, and if he's listening to this, he'll probably laugh about this, tried to scam me. And I forgave him. I'm like, you must be somewhere where life's pretty hard or harsh in order to do this. So I forgive you. And then he's like, who are you? He's like, I have scammed other people before and not one of them has ever forgiven me. And then we became friends at that point on. And I was sharing with him the video of the wall, which will be shared in this video, audio. And he said, you know, so he's from Nigeria, and people who don't know, it's so corrupt down there. It's hard to send resources down there. One time I was going to send his family a gift care package, and it would have cost $400. So I couldn't do it. And even if it made it, the officials or whatever would have probably taken it, and he probably never would have seen it. There are many places. Oh, before I go on, he said, you know, there are people here in Nigeria who would gladly give up their freedom to go into prison just to have food every day and a place to sleep. And that I really appreciate my friendship with this person, because it does keep opening up my eyes, and it really causes me to be aware and raise awareness at the injustices that are happening around the world, as well as give me appreciation for the freedom and the things that most of us take for granted. You know, I tell him I go out and take walks at 4 a.m. He's like, be careful, because in his country, people would be robbed, maybe even kidnapped. So we really have a lot to be thankful for on this Thankful Thursday. So this morning, it's reflection and gratitude. You know, reflection on appreciation of our freedoms. So, you know, we also had Memorial Weekend about men and women and non-gender, everyone in between, fight for our freedoms. And so, I'm just asking, I guess, that on this Thankful Thursday, people take some time to think about, what are you thankful for? What things do you think you might take for granted sometimes? And how can you show appreciation for those things? I hope this talk has really helped somebody just kind of open up their mind, open up their heart a little bit, open up their well of gratitude. And as you experience a wealth of things, whether it's financial, whether it's a skill, like I don't have lots of finances to share, but I do have lots of knowledge to share, that first you use those things that you're grateful for and that you have an overabundance of to help yourself, and then to help those around you. Because now more than ever, our world needs it, and it needs you. Peace and blessings.